Take the word for mother. In English, it's mother. In Latin, mater. In Hindi, ma. In Persian, madar. And in German, Mutter. These 5 languages are separated by thousands of miles, yet the words are nearly identical. A linguistic fingerprint left behind by a common ancestor to one source, a language scholars call Proto-Indo-European. This ancestor was spoken on the Eurasian steppe about 6,000 years ago. But because writing hadn't been invented yet, it left no physical records. No scrolls, no tablets, and no inscriptions exist to tell us what it actually sounded like. Usually, unwritten languages undergo a process called drift. As tribes migrate and centuries pass, sounds mutate and grammar fractures, until the original form is completely unrecognizable. This creates a massive gap in history. If the source language vanished before it was ever written down, and thousands of years of drift scrambled its descendants, we shouldn't be able to prove these languages are related at all. The evidence for this connection finally surfaced in Calcutta in 1786. A British judge named Sir William Jones was studying ancient Indian texts written in Sanskrit. He wasn't looking for a linguistic revolution, but he found one anyway. Jones noticed that Sanskrit's core grammar and complex verb conjugations were too similar to ancient Latin and Greek to be an accident. This wasn't a case of one language borrowing a few words from another. The structural bones of the sentences matched. The way these languages built meaning was identical. Jones had found a historical anomaly, a language whose internal structure had survived with such precision that it acted as a bridge between the ancient East and the West. While Latin and Greek were allowed to drift and decay over time, Sanskrit stayed unnaturally still, forced into a state of permanent preservation. Around 400 BCE, an Indian grammarian named Panini produced a definitive description of the language called the Ashtadhyayi. Panini engineered nearly 4,000 formal rules that dictated exact how Sanskrit, words, and sentences had to be constructed. Panini built a rigid, algorithmic framework for the language. Modern computer scientists recognize the Ashtadhyayi as a formal system, utilizing the same logical rigor found in modern programming languages. We see this mathematical discipline in the manuscripts. The script is organized with a precision preventing the natural messiness of spoken language. These red accent marks functioned like code, dictating exact pitch for every syllable, ensuring pronunciation never varied. While other empires built stone monuments that eventually crumbled, Panini built a linguistic monument out of pure logic that could not be eroded by time. To maintain this logic, Vedic priests developed a system of oral transmission that was more intense than any written record. These priests memorized thousands of lines, syllable by syllable. By focusing on individual sounds rather than the flow of words, they removed the human tendency to smooth out or change a language over generations. They used built-in error correction methods, reciting texts both forwards and backwards in mathematical patterns. If a single syllable was out of place, the pattern would break, alerting the speaker to the error. This discipline created an unbroken chain of transmission. These scholars acted as human hard drives, preserving the exact phonetic data for thousands of years. By treating their language as sacred data that could not be corrupted, they accidentally froze a window into the deep past, keeping it open for future linguists. Sanskrit expanded differently than the languages of Rome or Britain. It didn't rely on armies or colonization to cross borders. It spread through its intellectual gravity. The development of the decimal system, the concept of zero, and sophisticated philosophical texts made Sanskrit the essential language for any civilization that wanted to advance. This influence reached far beyond India. In Cambodia, the massive Angkor Wat complex is covered in Sanskrit inscriptions, proving that distant civilizations voluntarily adopted the language for their most sacred and intellectual works. Sanskrit achieved a global reach because neighboring cultures chose it, surrendering to the precision of its grammar and the depth of its tradition. As the centuries passed, the everyday spoken languages of India, the Prakrits, evolved into modern tongues like Hindi, Bengali, and Punjabi. Sanskrit itself did not evolve into these languages. Instead, it stepped back from daily use, remaining perfectly preserved in the realm of ceremony and scholarship. While Latin died by dissolving into French and Spanish, Sanskrit stayed still. It became a living fossil of the ancient world. Because it never drifted, Sanskrit allowed linguists to look past 6,000 years of mutation to see the original source code of the steppe. It is the only reason we can prove that 4 billion people today are still speaking with the same ancient voice.